Hi guys, Johnny Good here for RealHomeStudio.com. Today taking a look at 3 big challenges that you're going to have to face working in your home studio compared to a pro studio. Just before we dive straight in, I want to remind you guys to please like and subscribe to the channel, and if you've got something to say, please drop it in the comments box below. Number 1, you have got to do everything, and I mean everything. From the moment you come up with an idea, say on your guitar, there's no producer to bounce off. You're going to have to arrange that. You're going to have to find the structure of the song. Once you've got the structure of the song working together, you've done loads of demos, you'll maybe put down a ghost track. From that point, you're going to be tracking, you're going to be putting your drummer hat on, you're going to be putting your bass player hat on, you're going to be putting your electric guitar and your piano and your overdubs and your arrangements, vocals, backing vocals. And that's just the tracking. You haven't even started with mixing yet, and with no one there to help you per se, apart from checking out lots of stuff on the internet. You've got to know about your mics, you've got to make sure everything's in tune, you've got to just make sure you're right and tracking at the right level, stuff isn't going in too hot. Of course, if there are any problems, any tech issues, tech support, you've got to be that guy too. The list is endless. We haven't even started with mixing, right? There's mixing jobs, you've got to be the mastering engineer too. And at the end of it as well, of course, you're not with a record company, you're going to have to do all the admin for the release of the whole track as well. So you've got to be prepared working in a home studio to learn, and wear all those different hats and be comfortable doing so. And it is so much to learn, guys. Now, I love working in a home studio because I find it absolutely fascinating, but I totally appreciate it's not for everybody, and some artists like just going into someone else's studio and getting that job done. So number 1, if you enjoy the home studio, you've got to be prepared and happy to learn. It is so easy to neglect the fun of the recording experience when you've got to do all of these things yourself. I remember seeing Mick Fleetwood in a Fleetwood Mac interview just saying, you know what, these days you could do everything that Fleetwood Mac ever did, but it wouldn't be half as much fun. And that's kind of the thing sometimes going into a studio. If you're working on your own, it can turn out to be a bit of a slog. And the tracking stage, the arrangement stage, and the fun bit when you're putting the instruments down often almost feels a little bit neglected because you know you've got so many jobs to do going forward. Making sure you're having a good time and, yes, fun when you're working in the home studio is something to really look out for, guys. If you find yourself feeling a bit burnt out, frustrated, it will come through in the music, and most importantly, not be great for your mental health. So if you're feeling a bit stressed out from recording in your home studio, give yourself a break. There's so much to do, I know, when you're putting these tracks down. Go for a walk, go for a run, clear your head, maybe come back to it another day. The most important thing is your mental health. If you're feeling frazzled and stressed out from working in your home studio, give yourself a break. Come back to it on a new day when you feel refreshed and ready to work again. I guarantee it's well worth doing. That's another thing with time management. You've got to look after number 1. Number 2, now if you're a beginner, this might not necessarily feel relevant for you right now. You might be watching this video right now thinking, do you know what? I'm absolutely fine with my laptop, my SM57 and a set of headphones, and gear doesn't really come into the equation. And here's the thing, at some point in the future, it's going to. Even my most frugal of friends that are very much staunchly stock plugins only and get by with 1 or 2 mics, still end up having to invest in gear one way or another. And gear is expensive, and it's getting more and more expensive, particularly here in 2022. And now the big bonus, of course, of going into a pro studio is all the gear is there for you. You're not going to be wasting any time. And also the engineer that's in the studio is going to have really good knowledge of using that gear. It's going to be maintained as well. That's another big thing. And again, the engineer is going to know what piece of gear to use for what, have a really good mic locker and a good knowledge of what mics to use on what instruments. It's another thing which you're going to have to learn even once you start acquiring things like more mics, is getting a feel for those microphones and knowing what does what for what jobs, and indeed how best to mic up these instruments. We're going back to that knowledge base again, but gear will kind of get you in the end. Now, it is a bit of a never-ending road, and I'm not saying you just got to lash out thousands and thousands on gear in order to get a good sound, but as your learning curve increases, so does that desire to acquire new pieces of gear. That's the way I like to work. So I really like to outgrow a piece of gear, or an instrument like a guitar, when you can start to hear the things which you don't like so much about, say, a microphone or an instrument. I think that's the time when you want to start looking to upgrade rather than going in straight high end straight away, unless you've got loads and loads of money, in which case you can get whatever you want. Thirdly, and the big one for me, time management. Now, all you guys are going to have different setups. Some of you guys are going to be living with wives and children. Some of you guys are going to be living on your own with your partners. You might be living with your mum and dad. You might be living with loads of members of your family. You might have your own studio. You might have to share your studio in a room. You might be in a communal room. You might have your home studio in your bedroom, in a garage, in a shed at the end of the garden. Loads and loads of different setups. But still, time management comes into play because you're not going into a professional environment. So when you go into a studio and you block that time out, you can switch your phone off and be away from the world for, 8-10 hours, tracking, getting totally involved with the song, working with your producer, working with an engineer, working with your band. And you can be in that world and get really immersed and involved in it. When you're working in a home studio, however, it's very easy to get interrupted. You might just be in the flow. It might take you 2 or 3 hours to get in the mood to actually do the thing in the first place, and then you get in the flow, and then it's like lunchtime, or you get distracted, you've got another job, or you've got to go to the dentist, or you've got to go and do the shopping, and those things just kick in and life takes you somewhere else. So being really organized with your time, booking time in with yourself is the best thing I can suggest. That's what works for me. I literally book the time in. So I let my family know I'm going away to work now, and that's booked in for my recording time, or my studio time, or my YouTube time, and that's so I can get the job done and get focused and get a good end result and enjoy the experience. Otherwise, I find if I've got loads of different things to do in between working, it just gets too stressful, too difficult. I never get in that all-important artistic flow, which is really important when you guys are working in a studio. So that's 3 big challenges you're going to have to face if you're working in your home studio. Of course, on the flip side of those challenges, compared to going to a pro studio, you're going to be, hundreds, if not thousands of pounds better off each day. And check it out, guys. It's absolutely beautiful working in a home studio. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it all from home. You feel creative. You can just turn your computer on and get on and work. It's a real great time to be alive and making and recording music. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video today, be sure to enroll yourself in my free mini course, The Virtual Console. It's a 6-part course taking you through an analog approach to recording in your home studio. It's a musical, fast, fun and easy way to get great results from your mixes right now from your home studio. Go check it out by clicking on the links below. Most importantly, go and have yourselves a great day.